Hi there, Rayanne here for Trailblazer RV, and I'm here today to take you through a new RV orientation on a Sportsman Classic 181BH. We're going to start here at the front of the trailer. Right here behind the propane tank is where you're going to find your battery. This unit is equipped with a 12-volt DC battery. Positive line will always be red, negative line will always be black in this case. This is a flooded wet cell battery. So under these two caps you're going to find six cells. Not a bad idea to make good practice of checking those a couple times a year and topping up the water level with distilled water as required, just to and then putting a charge on your battery just to keep it in proper working order. Right in front of that is your propane tank. Very simple operation. When you're using the unit, turn it on. We recommend leaving it off when traveling. In Alberta, it's not illegal to be traveling with the propane on, but if you're going into other provinces, it is. All right. Next, you're going to find your stabilizer jacks. In this compartment, you're going to find a handle. You're just going to put it on the end of these jacks, crank them down. But it's important to remember that these are for stabilizing the trailer only. They're not for lifting or leveling the unit. So once you've got them extended, you just want to make sure they're just snug and not being used to level the trailer side to side. If you do find you need to level side to side, you can block under the wheels on one side to get that leveling. Back here you're going to find your fresh water, your tank fill, and your city water connection. Tank fill is very simple. You just remove the cap and put your hose into the fill. We recommend using a drinking water safe hose just to avoid getting that garden hose taste in your water. And also if you're using this, there is fill nozzles available that make it a little simpler. Oftentimes the end of the garden hose is larger than the opening here. So the fill nozzle is just going to make it a little simpler for you to put it into the tank and fill the water there. Below that's the city water connection. If you're camped at a site that has water available, you can just hook the hose onto the city water connection. But we recommend that you use a water pressure regulator whenever you're hooked to city water. The freshwater system in this unit is only rated for 45 to 50 psi, and oftentimes campgrounds water pressure will be higher than that. So anytime you're hooked to city water, use the water pressure regulator just to make sure you don't end up with leaks. Right below that, you're going to have your black and gray holding tank dump valves. We do supply your sewer hose, which will be stored in the bumper. To dump the tanks, just remove the cap and twist the hose on. You're going to dump the black tank first by pulling the valve. You've just got the antifreeze in there now, but don't dump it if there's waste. Once that's finished draining, you can close that valve and pull the gray valve. What that's going to do is it's going to allow the water from the gray tank to flush any of the leftover waste from the black tank that may be in the hose or the pipe. It's going to flush that out to make your cleanup process a little bit simpler. Once that's done, go ahead and just close that valve and put your cap on, and you're good to go for your next round. Next to that, you're going to find your water heater. So this water heater, it is a propane water heater, but it is a DSI water heater as well. So there is no pilot light. It is going to light itself from the button inside, which we'll see in a minute. A couple points of interest on here. This plug at the bottom, it's called your sacrificial anode rod. Inside there you're going to find a rod about this long. The purpose of that rod is for the minerals and impurities in the water to eat away at that rod rather than the lining of your tank. Over time you are going to notice it becomes quite corroded and pitted. That is perfectly normal. It's doing its job. That plug will need to be replaced once any part of it is down to the center steel core. Up until then, it's safe to keep using that same rod. Also, just of note on the water heater, it does have some electronic cutoffs here. If the water heater is ever accidentally fired without water in it, it's going to overheat. These ECOs are going to trip. If you find that your water heater isn't working properly, this is a good place to start. Just come check. You can press those in and see if one is tripped. That will reset it pressing it in, and you should be good to go again. This unit does come with a spare tire. However, it's important to note that the RV does not come with a jack or tire wrench. In most cases, the jack for the tow vehicle will be strong enough to lift the trailer, but the tire wrench may not necessarily be the proper size, so it's not a bad idea to pick up and carry a star wrench with you just in case you need it. This unit does have a power awning, simple push button for in and out. This one also is an adjustable awning. Very simple use. To adjust, you just pull the arm down. Now, we recommend leaving one side of the awning down, particularly if it's raining, just to control the flow of water, so you can control which side the water runs off and to keep it from stretching or sagging the fabric. Just important to note that before you roll it back up, you will need to put it back to level. Let's go inside the Sportsman. All right, so here you're gonna find your stereo system, Bluetooth stereo. It does have settings for both indoor and outdoor speakers, or the option to run both at one time. Just important to make sure that if you are using the speakers inside the trailer, to make sure you've selected just for inside, so you don't have your music blaring outside, disturbing the other campers. Back here in the washroom area, you have your monitor panel. So it's going to show you the level of your gray tank, which is currently empty, your black tank empty, your fresh tank, which is empty, and your batteries, which say they're charging because we are plugged in at the moment. Also, here is where you're going to find the controls for that water heater. To turn it on, all you have to do is turn the switch. The light on the switch is going to come on, but also this fault light. What this fault light is doing is indicating that the water heater has not lit yet. But if we give it a couple seconds here, you're going to hear a ticking, and that light is going to go out, indicating that the water heater has lit. And there you go. It's gone out. I can hear it burning over there in the water heater, so give it 20-30 minutes, you'll have hot water now. Also, switch for the water pump here. Simple operation, just turn it on when you want to use water out of the tank. Important to note on the toilet, every time you dump your holding tank, you need to put in a new chemical charge to help break down any of the solids or anything like that that may be in the holding tank. We have several different kinds in our parts department. It comes in liquid, powder, or tablet form, so whatever preference you have is fine, just as long as you're using something. After you've dumped your holding tank, put one charge of the chemical in the toilet, push down on the pedal halfway just to fill the bowl with water. Once that's full, you can flush it all the way down. That leaves your tank ready for the next use. Also important to remember to only use RV safe toilet paper in here. Household toilet paper does not break down properly, and you're going to end up with clogged pipes and not a lot of fun trying to clean those out. To operate your fridge, there's power button. Push and hold power button for a second. It's going to come on. You can select the mode. This is between automatic, electric, and propane. We recommend running on automatic most of the time. When it's in automatic mode, if you are plugged in, the fridge is automatically going to select to run off electricity to save yourself propane. However, if you do lose power to the RV, the fridge will automatically switch over to propane so that it continues to run and your food doesn't get spoiled. You can also adjust the temperature here. It's from 1 to 5 snowflakes. We like to leave it at 3. But depending on what kind of weather you get into, how full you have your fridge, that sort of stuff, you may want to adjust that periodically, just to wherever you're happy with it. Turn the fridge off, very simple. Push and hold the button for about 3 seconds until the light goes out. Behind me here is the thermostat for your furnace. Again, simple operation on this. It's a propane furnace, but there is no pilot light. To operate, simply slide the lever over to your desired temperature. You're going to hear a fan kick in. It's going to run for about 30 seconds or so before the furnace tries to ignite. Once the furnace tries to ignite, you're going to hear a similar ticking to what you hear with the water heater. And there it goes. And I've heard the burner ignite, and now you'll notice that there's warm air blowing out of the grill here. You can adjust the temperature however you want. The furnace will shut down when it reaches the desired temperature. But if you would like to turn it off, you just slide the lever all the way back over and make sure it clicks to click into the off position. Otherwise, it's just going to be set at a lower temperature and may kick in when you don't want it to. Once you turn the furnace off, the burner goes out right away, but the fan is going to run through another purge cycle for another 30 to 45 seconds just to finish that cycle and get ready for the next operation. Okay. Well, down here is your converter, or the main power center for your RV. It has some 15 and 40 amp fuses for your 12 volt section, and breakers for your 110 volt section. It's not uncommon for a fuse to blow in an RV, so always make sure to carry a couple spares with you, and in your case you only need 15 and 40 amp fuses with you. Every once in a while you'll hear a fan or a buzzing noise from this converter. That is just a cooling fan in there, similar to what's in a computer. If there's a heavy draw in the circuit, or the battery is low and it's charging, that sort of thing, this fan will come on to keep the circuit slow. Nothing to be concerned about, it's just doing its job. Right behind that, we have our propane and carbon monoxide detector. This detector will go off in 3 different occasions. First, if there's a propane leak, which you will likely smell the gas as well. Second, if there's a carbon monoxide situation. And the third time it will go off is if the battery in the coach is getting a little bit low. There is a distinct difference between the low battery alarm and the propane or carbon monoxide alarms, but it is something to certainly be aware of, that if that alarm goes off, it's definitely something you need to be aware of. Under the bed, you're just going to find a little bit of access to some extra storage. We've got a power cord in there for you to plug in. It's a 30 amp power cord, but it's also going to have a 15 amp adapter to plug in if you only have access to a household outlet. And that pretty much concludes it. Oh no, there's an air conditioner on here. So the air conditioner, it has 4 function modes. There's low fan, high fan, low cool, and high cool. Now none of these modes will work unless the RV is plugged in. You can choose high or low fan if you just want to get some air circulation and that sort of thing through the unit, or high or low cool if you need the air conditioning function. Also a temperature selector here. You can choose how warm or cool you want the air to be. Also, nice feature on this air conditioner is if you want to direct the cool air to a certain area of the RV, there are louvers that you can close off. So this would close off the flow to the rear of the trailer and concentrate the air conditioning to the front bed if you're having trouble sleeping at night because it's too hot. Or you can do the opposite. You can open that one to cool the bunk area or the kitchen if it's too warm cooking, and close towards the bed area. Or you can leave them both open at the same time. And that about concludes it for the Sportsman Classic 181BH. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us here at Trailblazer RV or check us out online at www.trailblazerrv.com. Thank you.